4, 3,
Just close it,
2,
close it.
1.
What do you think, Adrian?
What?
Is the hat in the way? Or
Yeah, you need to take that out. Thank you.
We see the jersey though, you're still represented.
I'm trying to make them take the love over there building.
Already? Did you guys move from New York?
Nah, like Odell building.
The 6-year-old mind is really fixated.
Chair.
Oh, did you need this? No. It's just a fluffy one.
No, this one's too for tall people, and I'm too short.
I'm at 41. Test, I know.
Mike's okay?
Yeah.
Great. Everybody on?
Do a level. Yeah.
Do just a quick level check to say hello, hello, hello.
Everybody
Hello.
Hi.
She's like, I'm gonna stay in the shadows. Can you spell your name first so we get it right?
It's Clarence, C-L-A-R-E-N-C-E, Evans, that's E-V-A-N-S, and I'm a third.
Spell your name.
Kenya, K-E-N-Y-A, Evans, E-V-A-N-S.
You spell your name?
U-A Lewis, L-E-W-I-S.
Okay. And then she'll stay in the shadow. And I think he said his. If you don't mind, can we start by talking about what happened before the video started? Because we see the video, and we'll get to that, but what happened when they arrived?
Well, he pulled up, it was just one, it wasn't.
Oh, okay,
one.
just the
He
one.
pulled up, seemed pretty sure where he was going. And he asked me something about a dog. So I have a dog, and I was breeding my dog, so I thought he was inquiring about some puppies. And then he told me, no, your dog was reported stolen. So I told him, no, that can't be possible. My dog is registered to me. So he said, okay, well, I'm gonna just write a report and get out your hair. And he asked me for my ID, and I told him I didn't feel I need to ID myself because I'm on property, I'm on my private property. So he asked me, well, what's your name? I told him my name was Clarence. And that's when he told me, no, your name is Reg, and you have a warrant out of Louisiana. And then that's when he grabbed me, and I sent my son, because my son and my 1-year-old daughter was outside with me. So I sent my son in the house to get my wife, and that's when the video started.
Okay, so how long before the video started was he there? Maybe 5 minutes or?
No, it wasn't even.
Less than that?
Yeah, just a minute, maybe.
Okay. Can you describe how it felt, knowing now that he had the wrong guy? He apparently thought he had the right guy, but how did it feel for you when he grabbed you in the first place?
I felt violated. I felt like, I thought it was a joke at first. I thought it was a prank or something. And after that, when I seen he had his heart set on that I'm this guy that he's looking for, Louisiana. And like I said, I was frightened, I was terrified.
How did you feel when he grabbed your husband?
I was terrified. I was scared. I felt like I wanted to call for help, but I didn't know who to call.
How did your feelings change as time went on? Did it get worse? Did it?
They got worse. They got worse. I thought I was going to lose my husband because they got real aggressive. So.
Why did you grab the camera, the phone, and start recording?
I actually told her to.
Yeah, he told me to because we needed to get this. It was unbelievable what the cop was doing to my husband. I just couldn't believe it.
And you were saying be calm, be calm. Were you saying that to your husband, or were you trying to tell the officer?
The whole situation for everybody to just calm down because I didn't want to lose my husband.
What were you afraid of? When you say you want to lose your what's on, what do you think the police was gonna do?
Shoot him. That's what happens in today's society. Cops shoot black people.
Clarence, did you feel profiled?
Oh, most definitely.
Why?
Yes. Because he was looking for a black guy with dreads.
He showed you a photo.
Yes.
Describe what you saw in the photo.
The guy, he had dreads like me, and he had my skin complexion, but he looked like he was in his mid-50s, early 60s. He had he was bald on top, and that was the only thing we had in common was dreads and skin complexion.
You at some point you talked about the officer trembling. When you see that picture and you're experiencing that, tell me what you're feeling physically.
Well, I felt like, why are you shaking and trembling? In your eyes, I'm the fugitive. So what are you scared of? So I felt like it can go any way it's gonna go wrong. What if he reached for his gun and thought he grabbed his taser? Because he was, he was shaking, he was terrified.
What do you want to happen?
Well, actually, he needs to lose his job. We don't need cops like him on the street profiling people. That's just, that's the most thing. That's the most important thing.
So Constable Herman told us that he's standing not only behind this deputy, but the other deputy that showed up. Because as far as he's concerned, he was just doing his job. He had a call from someone saying that you were a fugitive from Louisiana, and that guy is reacting to a report, and thereby had a right to ask for your ID. Now, we asked a union steward who basically said, look, in that scenario, you should always comply. It was bad information. I can understand him being upset, but it's always best to comply. What's your reaction to hearing all of that?
Well, tomorrow I say, what is the proper protocol to serve a felony warrant? Do you come with just one cop, no body camera, no dash cam? Especially what just happened with the HPD and 2 people lost their lives behind a warrant, behind mistaken identity. It can be proper protocol to come just one deep with one cop for a felony warrant out of state.
And what he said is, he said, when you look at the video, you see a citizen who is being belligerent with a deputy doing his job. Just sort of, when you hear him say that, what do you think?
I feel like how would he feel if he know he's in the right and someone is telling you, no, you're not who you are, you're someone else, and I'm feeling you're coming with me. Anybody would be passing about that, or belligerent, as he say.
How many different names did he call you?
2. He called me Reg at first, and then he called me Quentin. I have never in my life went by neither one.
A couple of times he said, show me the ID, it's over. Why didn't you show your ID?
Because showing him my ID wouldn't have helped. He had it set in his mind that I was Quentin. As you can see, when he showed me the picture of this guy, Quentin, you can clearly see that's not me. He still thought it was me. So showing him my ID wasn't gonna help. He was gonna take me with it regardless.
So when you showed him your ID, actually it looked like he took your
it,
wallet.
yes.
When he looked at your ID, they left.
And I think that's because of the second guy. If you can look at his facial expression, you can tell that he was sure there wasn't me in the picture.
So you didn't show your ID because you didn't think that was gonna help?
No. Plus I was on my own private property. Had I been in public, I got pulled over, or had he just showed up and said, hey, I got a warrant for a guy named Quentin, look a lot like you, I would have gladly gave him my ID and said, no, sir, my name is Clarence, it's not Quentin. And it would have been over just like that. But he was deceitful from the beginning, from the time he pulled up. He had his mind set on I'm Quentin / Reg.
And so him being deceitful, what did that make you think?
That this is not right. It can't be, like I say, one cop for a felony warrant. First you say, I got a stolen dog, then you say I'm here for a warrant out of Louisiana. And they're not gonna come all the way ahead of several traffic ticket warrants, so it had to be something major. I don't know what Quentin did. What if Quentin was a murderer, a cop killer or something? And you think I'm him? No, I didn't, no. It just didn't sit right with me.
You have legal representation. Why? What do you plan to do from here?
Because I feel like I need it. It's best at this point. Like, I don't know what's gonna happen next.
Do you want to sue, or do you have plans to?
He has to get some response from her.
Hold on a second.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
He was looking for a response from Mark Herman. He was looking for a proper response, something to say that he would investigate, he would look into the actions of this officer, and because, I'm going to back up and say, he knew that his constitutional rights had been violated. That's what he did know. Now, his response to that, whether it be bring a lawsuit or seek some sort of remedy from the constable himself, was choices that he had available at one point in time. Mark Herman has indicated that he's not apologizing by his response on Facebook. And Mark Herman has also indicated that he's doubling down and saying that his officer had a right to be there, and that post lets us know that he's not going to apologize. So Mr. Evans definitely has the position right now where he has to really weigh his options more heavily one way versus another. But it's all in the court of, it's all in Mark Herman's court right now, what he wants to do and how he wants to respond to this.
What do those legal options include?
Well, this is a violation of his civil rights. It's a Fourth Amendment violation that occurred here with Officer Lindley. And so he does have the right to bring a claim. And I would say that claim would not just be for himself, but for all of us. Because anytime that you give up your right as a citizen and let an officer violate the Constitution and you don't do anything about it, that officer gets stronger and he goes and he violates the law even more the next time and more the next time. So it wouldn't just be a lawsuit for Mr. Evans' sake, it'd be for the sake of everybody.
Do you plan to file that lawsuit?
I wouldn't say at this point, like I said, we still are going to give the constable an opportunity to rectify the situation.
How?
We'll talk to him. We will talk to him and find out. He's indicated that he wants some sort of communication here. It's been one way. We know where his position is as we stand. He stands behind his officer.
He says no complaint has been filed. Do you plan to file a complaint, or why haven't you filed a complaint yet?
We're still investigating, because we have found out that this officer, Lindley, has had an official oppression charge against him in the past. He has violated other constitutional rights in the past. He has been an HPD officer in the past, and he has been given the opportunity to resign. So this officer leaves HPD and surfaces at Precinct 4, and he's doing the same thing. He's oppressing individuals. So we definitely have to investigate this further and see if indeed there's going to be something done at the level that it needs to be done. But if Mark Herman is going to stand behind his officer and ratify his actions and allow this officer to continue to remain on the force, then there's nothing more that Mr. Evans can do except for try to protect the rest of us.
Will you file a complaint before a lawsuit, or are those two tied?
We don't know. We can't say at this point what the decision we're going to make at this, in what order it will be filed.
I think if I understood the constable correctly, he said the ball is in your court because no complaint has been filed. He's done a police report. He's doing his own investigation. You know, I think they have body camera video that I understand, so they see everything that happened before. So the ball is in your court, according to him.
He has all the information.
Yeah.
For him to put the ball in my court with the information that he has shows us the position that he's going to hold going forward. For him to have this information and not want to do anything and put it in my court, in Mr. Evans' court, as citizens, that shows you the constable that he is. And I don't think that Houston deserves a constable like that would put that on the citizens when he sees the violation, does nothing.
What makes this case of mistaken identity different? We know that this happens every day. The fact that they have a picture, it's not a perfect science. They look for people, black, white, Hispanic, all the time, and they make mistakes. What makes this case different than many other cases that happen all the time?
There's a mistake, and they're just flat out wrong. And he was flat out wrong. This is a cultural profiling that went on. This is not just simply racial profiling. This is something beyond that. He took two men with dreadlocks and decided that they were the same person. And then for Herman to back up his actions, it makes it seem as though he also looked and determined that this was Mr. Evans as well in this photograph. So that shows the disconnect that this department has with individuals of the African American culture, namely those with dreadlocks.
So what could this officer have done differently? I mean, he comes up, they get a call. It isn't like he was rolling around the neighborhood and decided to come upon Mr. Evans. They claim they received a call that this was a fugitive that had warrants out for his arrest in Louisiana. The officer comes up. We don't see what happens at first, but during the time when they're interacting, he says, "Show me an ID and this will be over." So what could the officer have done better that would have been more in compliance in your eyes?
What the officer could have done is when he arrived on the scene, he could have been honest. He was deceitful from the onset. He stated that he got a call about a stolen dog, a dog that they have had since he was a puppy. If had he been honest and said, hey, there's a felony warrant, you look like the person that's in the warrant, can I see your ID? He's already stated that he would have complied. He would have, even though he didn't have to, he would have been willing to help the officer do his job had he come under the proper guise and not lied and said that he indeed had received a call about a stolen dog.
Do you understand why he maybe didn't do that? In my understanding, they don't just come up to somebody they think might be a felon, outstanding, a fugitive, and simply say, hey, what's that?
Why would you come along with just one officer?
That's a good question.
That can't be proper protocol. Serve a felony warrant for out of state.
He could have stayed outside and watched that home while backup came and said, it looks like this guy is here that I have on my warrant, and the photograph matches this individual, and had other officers to arrive on the scene, and had that second officer arrive, the more level-headed officer, had he arrived, he probably could have diffused this from the very beginning. If you believe that just asking directly, can I have your ID, I think that you have a warrant out of Louisiana. If that wouldn't have worked. Having other officers there that can identify that all African Americans do not look alike, that would be helpful. And I definitely think that training is necessary for Mark Herman and his officers if there can be this type of confusion. We haven't seen the photograph that was attached to the warrant. We haven't seen that at all. But what we do know is that 3 people have seen that photograph. And that was Mr. Evans, that was his wife, and that was the other officer.
You saw it too?
And everybody agreed that it was not Mr. Evans, except for this particular officer and Mark Herman.
Yeah, we haven't seen the photo. You don't know who it is, the guy that they were looking for?
We don't. We've searched for Quentin's with warrants out of Louisiana, and we haven't come up with anybody with any dreadlocks or reg. So no, and it's simple. Show us the photograph. Show the public the photograph of this individual. Let us determine whether this officer was his mistake was reasonable or not.
I think
the Facebook post. It's got 20,000 shares, 15,000 comments. What do you think? Why are people gravitating toward this situation?
I think because they're tired of the way we treated. That's why. They're tired. Like, it could have ended a lot worse. Like, my kids could have saw me murdered by the hands of a cop.
It ended the way we hoped that all the rest of them ended, with him being able to stand up for his rights and not have to die as a result of it. I think that's why people enjoy this video and are sharing it over and over and over again, because he's the person that lived. He's the hashtag that's here.
So the officers did what they were supposed to. I guess I'm trying to, it worked out well. The officer didn't, doesn't appear, didn't physically abuse, but you think it's because?
Exactly. That's the only reason. Because look at the other cases you have of a person. Nobody was filming, and actually another officer turned him in on that case. So look what he did with no cameras, when he thought no cameras and nobody was watching.
So Clarence, I want to go back to before the deputy rolled up. What were you doing, and where were you headed in your yard when?
Me and my son was tossing football back and forth, and my daughter was riding a little riding toy in the driveway.
And then you see this, were the lights on when he pulled
No
up?
lights or nothing. He pulled up. Like I said, he was sure where he was going. And had I had a warrant or was on the run, I would quickly grab my kids in the house. I actually walked towards him because he said something about a dog. Like I said, I thought he wanted to see my dog.
I think that's good. I think we brought you to everything that the constable was saying to give you a chance to respond. The only other thing I can think of is big picture. To him, he says, we got a tip we had to follow up on.
Okay, well, what I
and we had a picture. Hold one second, just to finish his thoughts so that you have a chance to respond to what what appears to be his reasoning. Got a tip that there was a fugitive. It looked similar enough to the officer that he thought he should follow up on it. And based on that, the tip and the picture, they had the authority to detain you, but they decided not to. Like the constable says, we could have gone a lot further here. We were nice, is basically what he
He
said.
wants a pat on the back
That's
for
nice.
violating somebody's rights. Let me tell you, what he's guilty of is being black while watching his kids play. That's what he's guilty of. They could not have gone further. They should not have gone further. And he should be ashamed of himself for wanting to believe and make people believe that they did a good thing by not going further. So, to respond to your question, they could have done so many things, so many different ways. And we know that the end result did turn out in his favor. That's because that second officer. They should have followed what the second officer did. That was the proper way to approach the situation. But the first officer, he has a history, and this falls in line with his history.
Did the second officer grab you? Because I saw that he came and then with a video. Did he grab you, the second
No, he
officer?
didn't grab me. He was actually telling me to calm down. It's an honest mistake. So for him to say it's an honest mistake, then you're admitting that your sergeant made a mistake.
He said that before they showed you the photo or after that?
After you saw the photo.
Calm down, it's an honest mistake. Okay, got it. Was it an honest mistake?
No, I believe not. No.
Like you think that he had some, you know, like he said he believed that it was you in the photo. Do you think that he was lying?
For whatever reason, he believed it was me, but he had his heart set on that was me. Like I said, had he done a little bit more research, he could have easily seen we actually moved to the neighborhood because of the heavy police presence. That's what made us pick the neighborhood. And they patrol the neighborhood all the time. So if they do more.
Time over.
That's fine.
I think we're wrapping up.
Yeah, you know, if they do a little bit while they're patrolling, you know, get out, shake some hands, meet and greet, meet some people by their first names. If he knew my name, he would know that I wasn't Quentin. You know, they're in the neighborhood every day. So instead of just riding by looking for crime, how about get out and meet some people, shake some hands? You can't be scared to patrol the neighborhood that you're patrolling. If you're scared of it, then why are you patrolling?
You haven't talked to Mark Herman, but what would you say to him?
Me?
Yeah.
That his officers need training. That's it. I think that's the main point. They need training. Like, get familiar with the neighborhood you're patrolling. It's simple.
You told him your name at the very onset before the video started. Did I hear that right? Did you tell him your name was Clarence?
Yes.
Before the video started?
Yes. Yes, he asked, when I didn't give him my ID, he asked me, well, what is your name? I said, Clarence. And he said, no, it's Reg. He told me who I was. He didn't ask me who I was. He told me who I was.
That's right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry for all the confusion today, you guys.
You didn't know we were
I
out
was,
there?
no, all the texting and, yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, I was confused. I talked to him on my front porch, and I think it was
Right here?
Nick.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And you're, I'm sorry,
Jacob with Channel 2.
Jacob, okay.
Yes,
Those things are
Got you
great.
there.
The-
You can communicate that way.
yeah.
Thank you.
I'll take care.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, guys.
So the picture looked just older, 50s,
Yeah,
60s.
the guy,
He had a beard and dread.
Has
Just
anybody
older.
even
Yeah.
tried to get the photo from the,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We tried.
and he said no.
I had to get a records request.
Yeah, we can get it. He said it just takes several days, and
No,
so it won't be for
no.
today.
Trust me, if it looked like him, you'd have it.
Right.
We know how the dash cams are released immediately when they're